Hey guys, Spirit Cluck here. So we're doing another tier list. This is Spirit Halloween 2012. And if you're wondering why I'm using a different tier list, that's because Tier Maker wouldn't let me upload had an image issue where Howler and Zombie Swing Girl weren't getting uploaded right. So I switched because if it can't even upload images, then why am I gonna use it? So anyway, let's just get the easy ones out of the way, aka the ones from last year. Rosemary, she's still amazing, and she'll for the if I'm gonna do all the years, but for 2013 and 14, spoiler alert, she's also gonna be an S. Jumping Spider was still relatively new at this point, and he was still like a revolution in the Halloween world, so he has to be an S. He's just mediocre, and he's better than mediocre, but nothing to like go crazy over. So I'm gonna play with the images because I've made this list I've made this video a couple times already, but there have been issues. But I am gonna get an easy one out of the way. If you're wondering why it says fire hazard and not F, that's actually because this is a special category for Poppin' Goblin, who is a fire hazard. Not only does he not make any sense, but he breaks really easily, and his motor can catch fire, and not only burn out the item, but burn like your house. He'll like burn your house down, and he'll burn like things down. He's a seriously terrible, terrible item. I've never seen an item that could burn your house down before. I mean, obviously it is possible, but I've never seen it so prominent as with Poppin' Goblin. So that's why he had to be the F or the new category fire hazard. And no, the fire hazard category was only a joke for this video, but it is really just F category, but I had to call it that because that was an easy joke to make. But anyway, next we have Grave Mourner, who I don't know. She's she's unbelievably forgettable, and like literally no one remembers her. She isn't bad. She's actually good, or well, she's mediocre. She's just like whatever. She rises up, she turns, and that's it. That's pretty much all she does. She was a good price, but just unbelievably forgettable. Next we have the Wicked Witch, who I don't get this one. Not only is she a crazy amount of money on eBay, it's the Wicked Witch. Are people scared by the Wizard of Oz? Why would they make her into a Halloween prop? I could understand Jack Skellington because he was actually a Halloween movie, but Wizard of Oz is like an action adventure comedy film. It's not really it's like an adventure film. It's not really a horror movie. And even when I was little, like 5 years old, I was never scared by the witch. She just doesn't make sense to turn into a Halloween prop. But other than that, she actually is made very well. Actually, even though she doesn't make a lot of sense, she is built unbelievably well, and probably the last good Gemmy item. But speaking of Gemmy items, Ghost Girl. I do not like this item. Looks very strange. It doesn't even look like a ghost. It looks like I don't know how to describe it, and it's very faulty. A lot of the blower in the arm stop working, the arms turning stop working, the head going up stops working, and even the rising will stop working. So yeah, I am not a fan of this item, and it always looked strange. Very, very strange. Next we have Death Row, who's S. I don't have to explain this one. He was cheap, he was effective, and he was the best seller for that year. And people, we still talk about Death Row all the time. We'll always be talking about him. Even like many, many years from now. So obviously he's an S. Alright, next we have Mean Old Gramps. I think he's going in D tier. In the original videos, I had him in C, but no, I really don't get this item. It's like, he's just not scary. It's an old man. And he's hanging, is that the scary part? I know he says something like, he's hanging on a door. He's like an old man, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna hit you with a cane? He doesn't even come with a cane. He makes no sense at all, and he just looks weird. His concept is just weird. So yeah, he's going into D tier. Next we have Zombie Swing Girl, which most people would put this as SS, like that step above, but honestly, she's better than mediocre, but she's not one of my favorites. I don't absolutely adore her. I think she's just kind of whatever. But next we have Jumping Zombie. who I think apart from whose biggest actually no, he's gonna go in here. I mean, the biggest problem with him is that he can break easily because he has like a one of the old techie jumping modules, which are not known to be the best, unlike the newer ones. And he's just kind of a very generic zombie. Which, speaking of zombies and all, I want to talk about Buzzsaw first, and we'll go back to jumping zombie. Buzzsaw is extremely unique, and I really like him. I think he has a great concept. Where the problem is that in 2011 was the best, probably the best year here, but it was also the worst in what it did to Spirit for many years. Because that year all the zombies sold because zombies were the big thing that year because of The Walking Dead and that the oversurgence of zombie movies. So zombies sold really well. So every year Spirit would have generic zombie after generic zombie. Then when zombies stopped being profitable, they did it with clowns, and unfortunately they're still doing it with clowns. Because generic clown after generic clown after generic clown, and then even back then, generic zombie after generic zombie. But I really think Buzzsaw stands out in terms of being generic. Really don't. The Buzzsaw is really what helps the site. If this prop didn't have a Buzzsaw, he'd be unbelievably forgettable. But he looks really good, and his audio is pretty good. It's fitting audio, and he looks and the buzz. It's really the Buzzsaw that makes this item an S. If he just hung there, he probably would have been like a B or even a C. But he's unbelievably unique. So thank you, Morbid, for making your last good item a good for one of your last good items a good item to go out on. Next we have Chained to the Tombstone, I think it's called. I don't remember what this one's. I think it's Chained to the Tombstone, which I like this prop a lot, but he kind of is just like generic. Oh shoot! Oh no, he's here. I forgot. Creepy Caretaker. Creepy Caretaker is just like whatever. He was like kind of like just whatever even back in 2011. Now in 2012, now he's really nothing special. Where in 2011 he was like a step above. Now in 2012, like he was just everyone forgot. I forgot he was sold in 2012 until a couple of years ago. I completely forgot this item was even sold then. Anyway, let's get back to the Chain to the Grave. Chain to the Grave is really good. I really like the mouth movement, but unfortunately he has reused audio, and from what I understand, he could be faulty at times, and he just kind of looks generic. His clothes aren't really that detailed. And his clothes are just like not great. The clothes. Next we have Headbanger Zombie, who is a really well-made prop. He was a good price and he had a ton of animations. Like the perfect amount of them. But unfortunately for Headbanger Zombie, he's just kind of like I was calling him Headbang Zombie. It's Headbanger Zombie. But unfortunately, like I said about Buzzsaw, he's just a generic zombie. But everything else is good. Besides him being a little too generic, he's really good, and he's in half, so that makes him. If he was like a full size and he just kind of did what he did, he'd probably be like a B or even a C. But the fact he's in half helps him. Like he fit really well with the theme. Like he got cut by one of the Buzzsaws that Buzzsaw got cut with, but he was just lucky enough to get the Buzzsaw out. Next we have Limb Ripper, who I don't have to explain him at all. Well, let me just put it like this: if he wasn't that good, they wouldn't have brought him back in 2017. He's like one of the most classic Spirit props ever, one of the most memorable. Next we have the female zombie. She's like whatever. She's just posable. She's very mediocre, which a lot of the static props are mediocre. Well, not all of them. The ones that aren't are the new Plague Doctor, the Burlap Zombie, the Hazmat Zombie, and the Headless Horseman, who I just put in the A tier. I really think this is one of the best static props of all time, and I love this guy. I mean, he looks really good, and he's got a good amount of detail. I like the axe. Next, we have the Big Jumping Spider, who I definitely think is a step under his older brother, just because he's big. So like it's like the other spiders are kind of hide in a bush, but you'll definitely see him, and he was very hard to find, and that really hurts him because he's very like almost no one remembers he exists. But if he was more common, a lot of people would have remembered that he existed. But I don't really have much to say on the Big Jumping Spider. He looks great. I like him a lot, but it just hurts that he was so obscure that like almost no one remembers him. Next, we have the Rising Reagan, who is not great. She's I honestly think she's probably the worst licensed, unless you count the Morbid Pennywise, the 2014 one. In stores, at least, she's probably the worst licensed prop we've ever gotten. Unless you want, unless you want to count the other Reagan, but I think that one was actually made okay. Where this one is known to stop rising after a while, and she doesn't even have legs. Her legs are these like this incredibly cheap plastic, and she just reuses phrase from the she just reuses phrases from the original. Everything about her is the same as the original, and a massive reskin. Then she does this, she rises, which the rising will eventually stop working. So yeah, she's not great. Rising Reagan, Howler, easy S tier. He is quite fault. He could be faulty, but I personally think of the rising props, he was easily the best built. He had a great price and he had a ton of animations. He just has that classic spirit feel to him, and his audio is really disturbing. Right next we have the Walking Dead girl, who I don't know, like she was just like she's better than she's good and her face looks really good, but like she's just kind of whatever. Just like, she walked and she had some audio, but that's really all she did. Next we have the High Voltage Box, who I really like the High Voltage Box, but unfortunately it can be very faulty at times. And the price was really good and it did a lot for $50. I can't even believe this thing was sold for $50. At one point, if it was sold today, Spirit would have sold it for like 100, maybe even 100. Considering Mommy's Favorite has one animation and is 100, the High Voltage Box probably would have been sold for like 120. Okay, that's a lie, but it probably would have been sold for 80. I'm not even kidding. I mean, the clown steak, the stakeable clown was 60, and it does much less. So, if it wasn't as faulty and as many of them were broken as they were, then it probably would have been S tier, just for the detail, the price, and everything. But let's end on our final one, Wolf Spitter. I love Wolf Spitter. He easily would have been an S tier if the water wasn't as faulty. Like if the spitting function wasn't as faulty. Which, when considering he's called Wolf Spitter and a good amount of them don't spit, that really hurts him. But he looks great. It's nice that he's built. Besides the spitting motion, he's built really well, and I really like this prop. So anyway, this is the ranking for 2012. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.